What's up? In this one, we're going to play with some deepfakes. It's a pretty cool repo going the rounds that I've been playing with. It's pretty easy. Take somebody's picture, overlay it on your webcam, and you've got their face on yours. You can take existing videos, photos, and same process still happens. It's pretty slick. It's kind of scary, but we're going to tinker with that today. Let's get started. Okay, this is the repo we're going to be working with today. It's from a GitHub user hacksider. Project is called Deep Live Cam. And as you can see here in this about, it is a real-time face swap and one-click video deepfake with only a single image. You can see some of the examples here. So this is the author playing with this single photo of Elon Musk. Let me zoom in. And he's got this almost perfect mapping of Musk's face on top of his, and he's moving around, and it holds really well. In this example, he's taken this video clip and taken this young man over here and overlaid it nicely on top of his. It came out really good, even though this looks kind of cartoony. Mapped really well. So this is a Python-based project. So some of the requirements are things like FFmpeg for doing the transcoding, and they are using Python 3.10. Which was actually a problem for me on my system. My system Python is 3.12, and the GUI library that they're using called tkinter actually kind of clashes, and I couldn't really get it working, so I containerized it. That's what I'm going to be walking through today. The Docker file and the scripts that I've used to do this. So let's check that out. Alright, so over here, I've got a repo. I've got some boilerplate code that I've been working on, and this is what it looks like. So I am using an NVIDIA-based GPU. NVIDIA has a CUDA base image that I used as my starting point. And actually, I don't want to take all the credit here because another individual somewhere in the issues, I forget which one exactly, I've seen a few sample Docker files that people have posted. For example, this one. This one is kind of the main. If you look and see, most of my Docker file is kind of the same. I use this as the starting point, and I've tweaked it to suit my needs. So there's a few different users have posted different Docker files, but generally they all look the same. So what I'm doing is starting with that base image. I'm installing some of the system packages I need. So Python 3.10 for tkinter. Python pip, FFmpeg, some of these other GPU-based packages that the program will need. We're cloning the Deep Live Cam repo within the container. We're installing all of the dependencies. We're just doing right to the system, no virtual environment since we're in a container, so who cares. Specifying the specific runtime to make sure we use the GPU. And now what I've done that's kind of different from these other examples is I am directly downloading all of the different modules that this program might use and just packing them into the container. My image is pretty chunky, it's like 20 gigs, but this puts down everything. You'll see in the GUI, you'll have different toggles for different capabilities, and the different toggles will use a different model. And if it's not on your system, the scripts will download them. But rather than downloading them every single time, because that stuff is ephemeral, it goes away, I'm just baking them all into this image so it's all available. I have to do an extra step here because one of those is a zip archive, so I have to install the unzip program so I can extract that out. Otherwise, I put on sudo because I have to do some little hackery to get the GUI aspect to work from the container to my host, and the entry point is an entry point script. So let's check that script out. So as you can see, this is a bit of a kind of just-in-time script execution. So this container instance is launched, and I am adding groups, I'm adding a user, I am adding groups to my user, and I'm changing permissions on a set of files as just a single directory here. And then I am executing the Python script as my user. Okay? And this little bash helper here is just passing any additional arguments to this command, right? So I'm running the initiation, the init, the script, making sure that we're using the CUDA provider, and then whatever command line flags that I can tweak here, right? So that gets us the container, that gets us this kind of dynamically run environment, and some of those environment variables you'll see is I am passing my current host context, like my user, Lance, my user ID, which I think is just 1,000 because I'm only one on here, and my user's group ID, which I think is also 1,000. Some other things, since this is a GUI and I'm running it on a container, I am mapping my X11 Unix socket into the container, and I'm also mounting my webcam on this container, right? So what we're doing is basically emulating within this container. You have a window environment to launch this GUI in. It's just going to bubble up to my host operating system, which you'll see here in a moment. Excuse me. So I'm mapping some other folders. This is how I'm kind of passing in images and videos from my host computer into my container here. And then you'll see that little bash helper again. This allows me to run this script with additional parameters if I wanted to tweak some of the outputs and work with different image files. So let's run it. Well, I guess first let's build it. So I'm going to run this command manually to start. We are going to build the container image. I've already built it, so you'll see this is all cached. I think the runtime, the build time was like 20 to 30 minutes. Took a bit to download all these models, and it's a lot of data. The image itself, what do I call this? Deep live. Image itself is 23 gigs. That's a massive container. Would not recommend having such a large container in pretty much any situation besides this. I'm running this thing locally, and it's for fun. So now let's run it. And I'm just going to use my little run script here, bash run. So you'll see those just-in-time commands being run. I'm passing in the right context, so I have all the right permissions, right? My user of 1,000, my group of 1,000, my group assignment to the Lance user. They're allowed to interact with the video feed for the webcam. Setting up a permission, so if I'm writing any temporary files, that can happen. And then otherwise running the Deep Live Cam software. And this is what we get. We get this GUI. This is running in a container, but because I have the mapping set up, this is bubbling up to my host system. And so we're going to mess with it. I have a folder here called pics where, oh shoot, hang on one second. I need to copy my pictures over. Let's run it again. Alright. Sorry about that. So now we can go into my pics directory. It nested it. I'll fix that. And now look, you know, I've got an Elon Musk, I've got Jason Momoa, I got Michelle Obama, got a couple pictures of me in here. Gary V, I got Beyonce. Let's play with Beyonce. This one's tricky, right? You'll see when I run this. Fuck. So I'm just going to go into the live mode and we can see the real-time feed with my webcam. Now I'm Beyonce. I'm Queen Bee. it's not bad. I mean, it's a little bad, but it's, for the most part, it's pretty good. My beard, the facial hair messes it up. You see a little bit of artifacting there, but like, look, I can turn my head all the way to the side, and it tracks really well. There's this little feature here called Face Enhancer, which messes up the frame rate a bit. It's a little bit slower to process, but it makes the faces look really good. See how much cleaner it looks? Just at the cost of it being a bit slower. Like I'm moving my head back and forth and it's, got a couple seconds of lag time there. But otherwise, really good. I can pearly white smile. Pretty crazy. Now I just got to figure out how to change the voice. So it seems to work better with people with facial hair. So this picture of Momoa, he's got some stubble here. And it blends a little bit better with the beard. Right? It kind of fits in with the face. And there's Momoa right there. We can crack a nice smile. The eye's a little funny, but that's really cool. It's freaking crazy, actually. Okay. Part of why I have this script set up with these little shell helpers is that I can actually reference other videos that I have and can just outright run this face swapping script against them. So I've got a video here in my pics folder called Lance Kayak. I took this video in Alaska. So me kayaking at the glacier, just a little selfie with this piece of ice, was sending my kids. I'm going to use this as my input video, and I'm going to swap with, we'll do Chuck Norris, right? So I can run this same script again, but I'm going to specify some additional command line parameters. Alright, so I need the source path, which will be Chuck Norris's image. It's this one here. I'm going to be Chuck Norris for Chuck Norris kayaking in Alaska. The target will be the video that I had watched on VLC, and the output will be the directory of the result. So I'm going to do, so it's -s, -t, and -o. So the source will be pics norris.png. The target will be pics Lance Kayak, and the output will be pics kayak. We'll call it kayak_out.mp4. Now, these files, although they are local to me on this host system, you have to remember that these files are only going to be available at the volume mounts. And so I've mounted this pics directory, so everything in here the container can see and read and write. So that's why this will work. So I'm going to run this. We'll see the script take a few seconds to process. Alright, that took maybe 30 seconds. So now we can watch the output in Kayak Out. There's Chuck. Pretty grainy. My beanie throws it off a bit. But that's the guy's face. Mr. Norris. Remember Dodgeball? Pretty cool. Alright, well, I'm going to sign us out here as Mr. Norris. I won't be face enhanced, but I think in the next one what I should do is take my voice and get it to match the sound of the individual. So the next video, I'd like to do the intro as Chuck Norris and tell you all about deepfakes and AI and LangChain and Python and yada yada yada. All right. Well, everything that I've done here, I'm going to link into the repo. I'm going to give you another script too that will download just some sample faces. Play with anything publicly available. I ask people permission before I use their face, and I don't do it if they don't allow me to. But otherwise, have fun. I hope that this helps you out in some way. This Docker file is pretty straightforward, but it's also for my computer, so you may have to tweak this to suit your needs if you've got a different GPU or you have some other system requirement. But sit. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.